You didn't choose your first money memory, it chose you. Maybe it was overhearing a hushed argument through a thin wall. Maybe it was watching a parent's face change at a checkout line. Maybe it was the way nobody talked about it, and somehow that silence said everything. Long before you understood what money actually was, you understood what it meant in your house, what it cost people, what it turned people into. And here's the part nobody tells you. That moment is still running. Right now, beneath every financial decision you make, how much you spend, how much you save, whether you invest, or whether the thought of investing makes your chest tight, beneath all of it is a story. A story you didn't write. A story handed to you before you were old enough to question it. In his book, The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel makes a point that genuinely stopped me mid-page. He says no one is crazy when it comes to money. People do things that look irrational from the outside. Overspending, hoarding cash, refusing to invest, gambling everything. But those behaviors make perfect sense when you understand what that person has lived through, what they watched, what they survived. That's not an excuse, that's an explanation. And the difference matters more than most of us realize. Think about two people born in different decades. One grew up during a period of economic stability. Jobs were steady, savings grew. The future felt like something you could plan for. The other grew up watching their family lose everything. Savings wiped out. Security gone overnight. Now ask both of them what a reasonable financial risk looks like. They will give you completely different answers, and both of them will be right, for the world they came from. Here's where things get interesting. We assume that better financial decisions come from better financial information. More data, more literacy, more spreadsheets. But that's not really the problem, is it? Because most people already know they should save more. Most people already know credit card debt is expensive. Most people know the basics. And yet, the gap between knowing and doing isn't about intelligence. It's about something older, something that lives below logic. What most people don't realize is that your financial behavior is governed less by what you know and more by what you felt, at an age when feelings became facts. When scarcity felt permanent, when abundance felt dangerous, when money was the thing your parents fought about, or the thing they never mentioned, or the thing that came and went without warning, you absorbed those patterns the way you absorbed language, without choosing to, without being aware it was happening. And now, decades later, you wonder why you can't seem to get it right. Why you save obsessively, but never feel safe. Why you spend freely, but feel guilty every time. Why you freeze when you should act, or leap when you should wait. You've read the books, you've watched the videos, you understand the math, but the feeling underneath doesn't shift. That's not a discipline problem. If this just put language to something you've been quietly carrying for years, that's exactly what this channel is for. One book, one honest conversation, 1 week at a time. Stay with me. Because the question that follows from all of this, the one worth sitting with, is not what should I do with my money? The real question is, whose fear am I spending from? This is exactly what Housel was pointing at when he described how differently people experience the same economic events. A stock market crash isn't one thing. For someone with a safety net, it's a temporary dip. For someone without one, it's the proof they always feared, that the floor was never real. Same event, entirely different psychological reality. And those realities shape every decision that follows, sometimes for a lifetime. The surprising part is this. Most of the financial habits we judge in ourselves and in others aren't about money at all. They're about safety. They're about identity. They're about belonging to the tribe we grew up in, where spending a certain way or saving a certain way was just what people like us did. There is a specific kind of grief in realizing that the money story you've been living isn't yours. That the anxiety you feel around numbers, the guilt you feel around pleasure, the shame you feel around ambition, these were planted in you by people who were doing their best, in a world that had scared them in their own particular ways. They passed it on the way people pass on recipes or accents, without thinking, because it was just the truth as far as they knew. And still, you've been paying their debts. So what do you actually do with this? You start with something harder than a budget and simpler than a course. You get curious about your own story. Not to blame anyone, not to excavate trauma for its own sake, but because a belief you can see has less power over you than one working invisibly in the dark. Ask yourself, what did money mean in the house you grew up in? Was it safety, or was it conflict? Was it something people earned and kept, or something that always slipped away? What was the unspoken rule? Never talk about it? Never want too much? Never trust that it will last? Those rules are probably still inside you, still influencing decisions you think you're making freely. Housel's whole argument, underneath everything, is this: being good with money has less to do with how smart you are than with how self-aware you are, with whether you can see the story beneath the spreadsheet. And so, I want to leave you with the question that I think actually matters. If the financial habits running your life were inherited from people shaped by fears you never shared, in a world that no longer exists, what would you choose? If you got to start the story again. The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel is worth your time. It will change what you see.